Okay, navigators, we are back here, and I'm impressed. I think we had some successes for sure. Here's some of our futuristic George Washingtons crossing the Delaware. We see the traditional image in the painting, kind of, but with a lot of technology and futuristic buildings in the background. So I like this one. I think this one was a success. I think this last one here we're looking at is probably my favorite. So winner here for the first prompt. What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the AI Marketing Navigator. This is your daily compass in the ever evolving world of AI marketing. Okay, navigators, we are back tonight with more AI image generation goodness and more AI image generation competition coming from a recognized name in the field this time, a name that we've done an episode or two on before in the past, and that is Ideogram. This is another text to image AI generator. And again, we covered it in a past episode, and it initially burst on the scene for its typography accuracy, if I recall correctly, which was once again an early challenge for a lot of these models, but something that we've kind of seen vast improvement on, rapid improvement really, from these image generation models. But this very quickly became the week of image generation, first with that introduction to a brand new model in that Reve Image 1.0, and then with ChatGPT launching their native image generation within the ChatGPT interface. Now we have Ideogram launching their latest state of the art model, Ideogram 3.0. And nothing really unexpected here as to what the features and expectations from the model are: enhanced realism, enhanced prompt adherence, even more accurate text rendering. A couple of key features, though, to note are the style reference and then the random style features that allow for another little channel of creative expression within your generations. The style reference we've seen in a lot of image generators before, and it may have even been in the earlier iterations of Ideogram, but it appears to be vastly improved in 3.0. This is going to allow you to upload up to 3 different reference images, and you should be seeing a little example here in this little reel we're watching, or this video we're watching on X right now, being shared on the screen. And what we're seeing right now is the use of this one image to influence the style of this next prompt, which is a man holding a flower. Again, check out the X post shared in the show notes from Ideogram announcing this feature. And again, it looks to be very accurate. Then also a random style feature. It's going to allow you to just quickly cycle through some styles and find new takes on your generations with very little effort. So we're not going to spend too much time diving into the background of Ideogram. Again, it's another AI image generator. We have covered it in the past. And we're also not going to get too much into the technical side of things. So what I thought we would do tonight is, in conjunction with and with some help from Claude, is just try and put Ideogram 3.0 through its paces a little bit, come up with some prompts that are specifically challenging to Ideogram, and ideally the model in general, although it would be fun to see them knock it out of the park on every one of these challenges. I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic that we'll see some good results. So with that, let's go ahead and get into Ideogram 3.1 and see what it is capable of. Here we are looking at the Ideogram interface. If this is your first time seeing it, it should still look somewhat familiar to you if you've seen any other image generators out there. We have our gallery of generations featuring some of the categories that you can look at. We have the current creations that you've made on the one side, and we also have a canvas feature. So Ideogram has its own canvas feature in their tool that allows for that dynamic editing in real time. It's also going to allow for things. I'm just going to hop into it here so you can see. On the left-hand side, we have things like magic fill, extend, or remix, and you can describe in dynamic real time what you want to see on the canvas with the traditional image generation settings and stuff like that. Here, back out on the home screen, we have our image generation options, the aspect ratio, the model you want to use, your prompt enhancements, which is the magic prompt in this case. We have a random style generator here, as we mentioned, but you can also see under the style option, we have our random style that we talked about, that feature, as well as the reference image feature. And then we also have a color palette option as well. So lots of options just to give you a bit of variation right out of the gate as far as your generations go, and some other features that we've talked about. And then they also have some additional features that we've talked about in the past, things like a seed number to keep an even tighter reference image, things like a negative prompt, so things you want to avoid in your prompts. And those have become pretty common in image generators as well. Okay, so here we're looking at some of the ideas that Claude suggested we challenge Ideogram with, things like artistic style challenges, so a temporal mashup, as Claude calls it, where it says request scenes from history imagined in futuristic settings or vice versa. And I think we've done something like this in the past, so I think we're going to ride with that one. Maybe like George Washington crossing the Delaware, except in the year 3025 or something. Let's run with that, and we'll see what Ideogram comes up with. They also have conceptual challenges. One that it gave us here was like an emotional landscape to create a visual representation. But I also noticed the philosophical thought experiments visualized. Whenever I think of a philosophical thought experiment, I always go to like Schrodinger's cat. But one that it threw up here that I wasn't aware of, and one that caught my attention was the ship of Theseus. So I thought I'd do a little philosophical nugget of information, a little bonus for you in our AI Marketing Navigator episode. Always got to love learning something new, so you're welcome for that. Okay, so I looked up what the ship of Theseus, also known as the Theseus paradox, is, and it's a paradox and a common thought experiment about whether or not an object is the same object after having all of its original components replaced over time, typically one after another. So apparently, in this story or this paradox, I would imagine that the ship of Theseus, over a long period of time, had every single one of its components replaced. Is that then the same ship, or is that an entirely different ship? Honestly, guys, it's a new ship to me. I don't know what you guys are thinking. Let me know in the comments. This one seems like an easy one. It's definitely an entirely new ship if all of the pieces have been replaced and there's nothing original. When that happens, that's maybe the thought experiment for me. But even then, isn't it like after it's half a new ship or something like that? Okay, let me know in the comments. I think that one's easy, but we're still going to ask Ideogram to visualize the ship of Theseus thought experiment for us. Next, we have technical challenges, things like impossible physics or complex lighting or textures. And I think I'm going to hit it with the impossible physics. In fact, I'm liking the idea that Claude gives us here of water flowing upward. So maybe like water being poured upward out of a goblet or something like that. And then lastly, so this episode doesn't run too long on you, we'll kind of go with the same vein as the George Washington crossing the Delaware, except for actual historical accuracy instead of imagining it in a different time or something like that. Let's go with like a gladiator in the Colosseum. I don't know why that pops into my mind. Must be the whole ship of Theseus thing. Let's see how accurately it can depict that. And I think I'm going to leave the magic enhancement. Actually, on second thought, I'm not going to leave the magic enhancement on. I'm just going to go and feed these ideas into Claude, right back into Claude, and get some nice prompts from Claude to spice up the prompts a little bit and make sure we actually challenge ideogram well enough. Okay, so let's start with our George Washington prompt. I'm not going to read the detailed prompts out to you guys. I will share the link to the Claude thread. So if you're interested to see the prompts in detail or you want to test them out for yourself, they will be in that link. The first one here is the George Washington one. Let's go ahead and see what Ideogram can do. And I think what I'll do is I'll just line up each of these prompts. We're going to get them queued up. And as soon as they're all done, we'll bring you guys back and we'll go over each one of them. So stand by. Okay, navigators, we are back here, and I'm impressed. I think we had some successes for sure. Here's some of our futuristic George Washingtons crossing the Delaware. We see the traditional image in the painting, kind of, but with a lot of technology and futuristic buildings in the background. So I like this one. I think this one was a success. I think this last one here we're looking at is probably my favorite. So winner here for the first prompt. Let's back out and take a look at our second prompt, the ship of Theseus. This one was definitely, I think, a little bit more of a challenge for the model to kind of illustrate. I think it did a nice job showing a ship that's kind of divided into two sides. I'll let you guys decide which one you think is your favorite. I'm going to go with, I think, the third one here because it's most photorealistic. It's kind of got the half and half ship thing going on in the background, although the first one here really kind of captures that half and half, two different ships type thing that I was picturing anyway. Okay, backing out one more time here. This one I think we struggled with, and there's one that tries to have the water go upwards, where we're challenging the laws of physics here with our water pitcher pouring. But this one was definitely a challenge. So the defiance of physics appears to be a challenge here for Ideogram still. And then this last one was curious to me. We got some, I think maybe it got confused and it was trying to do like a depiction of what the artwork of the time would have looked like depicting these gladiators. Because we have some kind of like painting or like I don't know what you would even really call it, pop art almost style pictures, except for the last one, you get this photorealistic thing where it was really trying to accurately depict the gladiators. And I think this one's pretty cool. So not quite nailed it on the gladiator one, although it did come back a little bit in the end here. So let me know what you guys think of the generations. I think a couple of them, the George Washington one in particular, I think was pretty cool. And then the gladiator one at the end, narrowly missed. But let me know again what you guys think. Actually, on the fly, let's do one last test here. Let's test the ability to create a neon sign like we did with the other image generators earlier this week. Create a neon sign that reads the AI Marketing Navigator. Let's see how it does with the typography here. Okay, these ones are pretty cool, actually. I really like them. First of all, it nailed the spelling as far as I can tell, reading these quickly for the first time, but it all looks good. And like I said, I really think the typography is table stakes now for these image generation models. If it can't nail the typography, it's definitely not a winning model. It does a good job, I think, of identifying the best generations as well out of each one. You can see that it applies like a cover generation to each one, and it really picked all the ones that I would have picked. The nice photorealistic gladiator one, and a couple others as well. Even the George Washington one that I liked. That I honestly, this one's cool. I think this one might just go in as the thumbnail for our video tonight. Okay, so there you have our test of Ideogram 3.0, the latest model from Ideogram, the AI image generator. Let me know what you guys think. You can get in there and generate for free a couple generations right now. So definitely go check it out. Another AI image generator in the week of AI image generators. Okay, that does it for tonight's episode. If you enjoyed the show or found it useful in any way, please do me a favor and follow on Spotify or subscribe on your podcast platform of choice. A review on top of that would be even more appreciated. It is by far the most helpful thing you could do for the show. Also, if you are watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on all notifications so you get notified each day when our episode drops. Until then, and as always, thank you so much for joining me, and remember to stay curious, stay consistent, and keep navigating forward. Bye.